Welcome back to our course on Excel 2013 Advanced. In this section we're going to look at radar charts. And radar charts are a rather specialised type of chart, but they can be very useful for presenting comparative data. Now there are a number of situations in which you can use radar charts, but the one I'm going to demonstrate here is one where we're looking at the performance of some individuals against a company's standard. So first of all, let's look at the kind of metrics we use in order to judge the performance of the employees in this company. We have 6 key metrics. We have customer focus, critical reasoning, adaptability, creativity, responsiveness and loyalty. Now we measure each of those for each employee on a scale of 1 to 5, and the company's standard performance is to score at least a 4 in each of those categories. So let's select that first column and the company's standard and draw a radar chart. Now there is a radar chart option here with a little drop down, and we're going to go for that one first of all. It's pretty straightforward. There is our company standard radar chart. Because we haven't told Excel yet that the maximum score is 5, it only draws numbers out to 4, and it puts the 6 factors at the corners of that radar chart. So that's a very basic kind of radar chart with just, in this case, a set of metrics on it. So now let's draw the radar chart again, but this time we're going to include the first of our employees on it, an employee called Jenny Murray, who's done the relevant tests, and let's see what sort of scores Jenny gets. Now when we draw the chart for Jenny, let's just make that a little bit bigger. You can see how the radar chart works. First of all, because Jenny's got at least one score of 5, Excel realizes that the score must go out to being a 5. And if you look, you've got a legend here. Blue is the company standard, red is Jenny. And once you understand the marking there, you can see that in many ways Jenny is better than the standards. So she's outside this sort of benchmark, the blue standard benchmark of the company. And the only area where she falls short really is in loyalty. So maybe Jenny's somebody who is planning to leave the company. But you can see the visual impact of that in terms of, quick glance, you can see where Jenny's scores are falling short. And in fact that in the overall majority of these categories she's better than the company standard. That's a very basic type of radar chart. There are some others. Let's change the type there. Let's go for the second type of radar chart, which is the radar with markers. Click on OK. And now we get a point marker at each point where Jenny's been measured. Now in this case it's pretty straightforward because it's at each apex of each figure on the diagram. And you can also see how the legend has been changed just to show the little markers as well. Let's change that type again. Let's go for the third type, which is the filled radar chart. And again, in some situations that's quite good because it just shows the area where weaknesses show through, where the standard appears and Jenny's performance doesn't hide it, if you like. So let's go back to the first type now. It is possible to format this in many of the usual ways. So for instance, if I click one of the options within the legend, right click on that, I can say format legend entry, and then I can go through, change the color and so on. So all that is as normal. But let's now delete this radar chart and let's create one with a second person on it. So my selection now has Jenny and Steve Dupont, and I am going to create a radar chart for them. Make it a bit bigger. And then we get quite a different picture because again we've still got the blue company standard. The scaling is still on the scale from 0 in the middle out to 5 on the outside. But whereas Jenny's red markers indicate very strong performance by her, the grey-green colour for Steve is well inside the blue markers. So we can see visually there, without even looking at the scores, that Steve is falling pretty far short of the company's standard. In a couple of areas, loyalty and creativity, he does manage to match the company standard, but for many other areas he's well below it. So again, very straightforward snapshot view there that tells you a lot, not only about how each of those two people compares to the company standard, but also to some extent, of course, to how they compare to each other. So there we are. That's how to use radar charts. I'll see you in the next section.